The red wine hit Maya's face like a slap from history itself. 400 of New York's wealthiest stood frozen as Patricia Thornton, the queen of Manhattan society, sneered at the black woman dripping in Chateau Margaux. "Now you look exactly like what you are," Patricia hissed. "Street trash, pretending to belong." Maya didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She simply reached for her phone. What Patricia didn't know? The street trash standing before her was the anonymous billionaire behind Phoenix Capital, the only company willing to save Thornton Maritime from bankruptcy. And Maya had just canceled the $800 million wire transfer. If you want to see how this satisfying revenge unfolds, hit subscribe and stay until the very end. Drop a comment telling me which city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Now, let's go back to where it all began. 3 hours before the wine incident, Maya Washington stood in her cramped Brooklyn apartment, staring at a dress she had no business owning. It was simple, black silk, floor length, the kind of dress that whispered money instead of screaming it. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her head from a phone call that morning. "Baby girl, you don't gotta prove nothing to them people. You already won. They just don't know it yet." Maya touched the fabric. Grandma Ruth was right. She always was. Her phone buzzed. Marcus Chen's name flashed on the screen. "Tell me you're not backing out," Marcus said before she could speak. "I'm not backing out." "You sound like you're backing out." Maya laughed, but it came out tired. "I'm putting on a $4,000 dress to go watch my mother-in-law grovel for my money without knowing it's mine. I'm definitely not backing out." $800 million, Maya. That's what's on the table tonight. Patricia Thornton thinks she's meeting with Phoenix Capital's mysterious CEO. She has no idea it's her own daughter-in-law. I know what's on the table. Do you? Because your voice is doing that thing. The thing where you're about to make a decision with your heart instead of your head. Maya walked to the window. Brooklyn stretched out before her. Brownstones, bodegas, kids playing on stoops. This was her world. The world she understood. Tonight, she would walk into Patricia's world. A world that had made it very clear she didn't belong. "Marcus, I spent 6 months analyzing Thornton Maritime. I know about the Singapore fraud. I know about the pension fund they raided. I know Patricia forged her husband's will to steal the company from my husband. Then why do you sound scared?" Maya was quiet for a long moment. "Because Will still loves her, despite everything. And when this is over, he's going to have to choose." "He already chose, Maya. He married you." "He married a baker from Chicago. He didn't marry a billionaire who's about to destroy his mother." Marcus sighed through the phone. "You're not destroying her. She destroyed herself. You're just holding up the mirror." The apartment door opened. Will Thornton walked in, carrying a bag of groceries like a man who had never known servants. His hair was messy. His glasses were crooked. He looked absolutely nothing like the heir to a shipping empire. "Hey, you're still here?" Will set down the groceries and kissed her cheek. "I thought you'd be getting ready." "I am ready." Will looked at her. Yoga pants, old Northwestern sweatshirt, hair wrapped in a silk scarf. He grinned. "You're going to my mother's gala like that? Bold move. I support it." Maya threw a pillow at him. "I was just about to change." "You sure you want to do this tonight? We don't have to go. We could order Thai food and watch that documentary about cheese you've been obsessed with. It's about the science of fermentation. It's about cheese." Maya pulled him close. Will smelled like coffee and old books and everything's safe. She had fallen in love with this man at a farmer's market 3 years ago. He had bought every cupcake she had left, not because he wanted them, but because it had started raining and he didn't want her standing outside. He didn't know who she was then. He still didn't know who she really was. Tonight, everyone would find out. Will, Maya pulled back to look at him. I need to tell you something. His face shifted, worried now. Okay? Tonight, at the gala, her phone rang. Marcus again. Maya silenced it. What about the gala? Will asked. The phone rang again, and again. Hold on, Maya answered. Marcus, I'm in the middle of something. Patricia moved up the meeting. She's announcing the Phoenix Capital deal at 7, not 9. She wants to ambush the board, take credit for saving the company before anyone can object. Maya's blood went cold. She can't do that. The terms aren't finalized. She doesn't care about terms. She cares about control. If she announces the deal publicly, we lose leverage. You need to get there early. Maya looked at Will, his sweet, confused, beautiful face. I'll be there in an hour. She hung up. Maya? Will took her hands. What's going on? You've been weird for months. You disappear at odd hours. You're always on your laptop. I know you're not having an affair because, frankly, you're too tired for an affair. So what is it? Maya opened her mouth to tell him everything. The secret company, the $1 billion, the plan to save his family's legacy and hand it back to him, the rightful heir his mother had cheated. But if she told him now, he would try to stop her. Will hated conflict. He had spent his entire life avoiding his mother's drama. He wouldn't understand that sometimes you had to walk into the fire to put it out. I promise, Maya said, touching his face. I will tell you everything. Tonight, after the gala. That's not ominous at all. Trust me? Will looked at her for a long moment. Whatever he saw in her eyes made him nod. Always. The Plaza Hotel was a cathedral of old money. Maya stepped out of the town car Marcus had insisted on sending. Her black dress caught the light. Her natural hair was pulled back in an elegant twist. She wore no jewelry except her wedding ring, a modest band Will had saved 6 months to buy. The doorman barely looked at her. Just another guest, another rich wife. If only he knew. Maya walked through the gilded lobby, past the cascading flowers and champagne towers. 400 guests mingled in the ballroom. Senators, CEOs, hedge fund managers, and the society wives who pulled their strings. And there, holding court in the center of it all, was Patricia Ann Thornton. She was magnificent, Maya had to admit. 63 years old, but fighting every single one. Her silver hair was swept up like a crown. Her emerald gown probably cost more than most people's cars. Diamonds dripped from her ears, her neck, her wrists. She looked like a queen. She was also, Maya knew, desperately broke. Patricia spotted Maya from across the room. Her smile flickered, present, then gone, like a light with a bad connection. She whispered something to the woman beside her. They both laughed. Maya knew that laugh. She had heard it at every family dinner, every holiday, every event where Patricia made sure Maya knew exactly where she stood. Outside, looking in, never quite good enough. Will appeared at her elbow, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. She's already started. Started what? The whisper campaign. She's telling everyone you made me convert to veganism. You're not vegan. I know. Last week she told people you made me sell my car. You sold your car because you moved to Brooklyn and don't need one. I know that. You know that. Mother lives in an alternate reality where you're systematically dismantling my life. Will sighed. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made you come. Maya squeezed his hand. I wanted to come. Why? She treats you like... Like what? Will didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew how Patricia treated her. like the help, like a mistake, like something her son would eventually outgrow. "William!" Patricia's voice cut through the crowd. She was approaching now, champagne in hand, smile sharp as a blade. "Mother?" Will's voice was flat. "Darling, you look exhausted. Are you sleeping? You don't look like you're sleeping." Patricia kissed both his cheeks, then turned to Maya. "And, Maya, you came." "Patricia." Maya kept her voice warm. "The gala looks beautiful. You've outdone yourself." Patricia's eyes traveled over Maya's dress, her hair, her lack of jewelry. "Yes, well, we do what we can with what we have." She turned back to Will. "I need you to meet some people. The investors from Phoenix Capital are arriving soon. This deal will save the company, William. I need you to look presentable, engaged, like you care about your family's legacy." "I do care." "Then act like it. Not everyone got to run off and play social worker while their mother kept the lights on." Patricia gripped Will's arm. "Come, there are people you need to charm." Will looked at Maya helplessly. "Go ahead," Maya said. "I'll be fine." Patricia was already pulling him away. She didn't look back. Maya stood alone in the crowd. A waiter passed with champagne. She took a glass but didn't drink. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Phoenix delegation entering now. Showtime." Maya watched two men enter the ballroom. Julian Blackwood, Phoenix Capital's chief counsel, and Marcus himself, playing the role of acquisitions director. Patricia descended on them like a hawk on mice. "Gentlemen, welcome, welcome. I'm Patricia Thornton. I trust your flight was comfortable? Please, let me introduce you to the board. We're so thrilled about this partnership." Marcus caught Maya's eye across the room. A tiny nod. Everything was in place. Maya moved through the crowd, positioning herself near the edge of the conversation, close enough to hear, far enough to seem invisible. Patricia was in full performance mode. "Thornton Maritime has been the backbone of American shipping for a century. With Phoenix Capital's investment, we'll modernize the fleet and expand into Asian markets. It's a guaranteed return." "Our CEO has concerns," Marcus said smoothly. "The due diligence revealed some irregularities. The Singapore division's numbers don't add up. And there are questions about the pension fund." Patricia's smile didn't waver, but her eyes went cold. "Minor accounting discrepancies. Easily resolved." "And the leadership structure?" "Our CEO believes the company needs fresh vision. The current management has overseen significant losses." "Fresh vision," Patricia laughed, a sharp sound. "I am the vision. My husband built this company. I've run it since his death. I will not be pushed aside by some anonymous investor who hides behind lawyers." Maya stepped forward. She couldn't help herself. "Patricia." Patricia turned. Her face registered annoyance, then contempt. "Maya, we're in the middle of something important. Perhaps you could go find the other wives? I believe they're discussing book clubs or spin classes or whatever it is you people do." You people. Maya felt the words land. She had felt them before, 1,000 small cuts over 3 years. The comments about her hair, the questions about where she really came from, the way Patricia introduced her at parties. "This is William's friend." Never wife, never daughter-in-law, never family. "I just wanted to offer some perspective," Maya said calmly. "Mr. Thornton, your husband, believed in ethical leadership. I've read his interviews. He thought a company's greatest asset was its integrity." Patricia's face went purple. "How dare you presume to tell me about my husband? I'm just saying that the Phoenix Capital CEO might respond better to honesty than performance." "Honesty?" Patricia stepped closer. The crowd around them was beginning to notice. "You want to talk about honesty? You, who wormed your way into my son's life With your sad little bakery and your bootstrap story? You think I don't see what you are? Mother. Will had appeared, alarmed. That's enough. It's not nearly enough. Patricia's voice was rising now. Heads were turning. Camera phones were emerging. 3 years I've watched you manipulate my son. 3 years of you playing the humble baker while draining his trust fund. I've never touched Will's money. Oh, please. Where do you think that apartment comes from? The nice clothes. You think a girl from the south side of Chicago affords Brooklyn on cupcake sales? Maya felt something shift inside her. A door closing. A decision being made. I paid for the apartment, Maya said quietly. With my money. Patricia laughed. Your money? That's rich. What money? Your tips? The Phoenix Capital money. The words hung in the air. Patricia's smile froze. What did you say? Phoenix Capital. The company you've been begging for $800 million. Maya held Patricia's gaze. I founded it. I own it. Every dollar you need to save your crumbling empire comes from me. The ballroom went silent. Marcus stepped forward, his face carefully neutral. Mrs. Thornton, may I introduce Maya Washington, founder and majority shareholder of Phoenix Capital Partners. Patricia looked at Marcus, then at Maya, then back at Marcus. This is a joke. I assure you, it's not. She's a baker. She makes cupcakes. Patricia was sputtering now, her polished veneer cracking. This is impossible. You're lying. You're all lying. I have the incorporation documents, Maya said. The SEC filings. 8 years of tax returns. Would you like to see them? Patricia's face was white, then red. Then something beyond color. Pure, distilled rage. You. The word came out like venom. You've been lying to my son. To my family. You've been... She grabbed a glass of wine from a passing waiter. Her hand was shaking. You've been plotting against me this whole time. I've been trying to save your company, Maya said, for Will, because he loves you, despite everything you've done. I was going to buy Thornton Maritime, fix the fraud you've been hiding, and hand it back to your son, the person your husband actually left it to before you forged the will. The gasp that went through the crowd was audible. Patricia's hand flew. The wine wasn't thrown, it was launched. A full glass of 1982 Chateau Margaux, $800 a bottle, arcing through the air in slow motion, before crashing against Maya's face like a crimson wave. The silence that followed was absolute. Maya stood there, wine dripping from her chin, staining her black dress, running into her eyes. She didn't wipe it away. She didn't flinch. She looked at Patricia, this woman who had spent 3 years trying to break her, and she smiled. Thank you, Maya said softly. Patricia blinked. What? I was going to sign the deal tonight. Save your company. Let you retire with dignity. Maya reached up and slowly wiped the wine from her eyes. But you just made this so much easier. She pulled out her phone. One button. One call. Marcus? Cancel the wire transfer. No, Patricia's voice cracked. No, you can't. Watch me. Maya turned and walked toward the exit. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Will stood frozen, staring at his wife like he had never seen her before. Behind her, Patricia Thornton's scream echoed through the Plaza Hotel, the sound of a kingdom crumbling, one perfectly manicured brick at a time. The elevator doors closed, and Maya finally let herself breathe. Her hands were shaking. Wine still dripped from her chin onto the marble floor. The smell of expensive Bordeaux filled the small space, mixing with the metallic taste of adrenaline on her tongue. She had done it. After 3 years of silence, she had finally spoken. And it had felt like flying. The doors opened to the penthouse suite Marcus had reserved. He was already there, pacing, phone pressed to his ear. "She's here. I'll call you back." Marcus hung up and stared at her. "You're covered in wine." "I noticed." "That wasn't the plan, Maya. The plan was subtle. The plan was strategic. The plan was not getting assaulted on camera in front of 400 witnesses." Maya walked to the bathroom and grabbed a towel. "Plans change." "Plans change? Do you understand what just happened down there? You revealed your identity. You accused Patricia Thornton of forgery in front of half of Manhattan's elite. And you did it while looking like you lost a fight with a vineyard." Maya looked at herself in the mirror. Wine stained her face like war paint. Her careful twist had come loose. Her grandmother's voice echoed again. "Baby girl, sometimes you gotta let 'em see you bleed before you show them you can't be killed." "Get me the Singapore files," Maya said. "Maya, and the pension fund documents, and the recording from Christmas." Marcus stopped pacing. "You're going to release everything tonight?" "Patricia isn't going to apologize and go quietly. You know that. I know that. She's down there right now spinning a story. I need to spin faster." Her phone rang. Will's name flashed on the screen. Maya stared at it. 1 ring. 2. 3. "You have to answer that," Marcus said quietly. "I know." 4 rings. 5. Maya picked up. "Where are you?" Will's voice was strange, flat. She couldn't read it. "Penthouse suite, 42nd floor." "I'm coming up." The line went dead. Maya set the phone down. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her teeth. "I should go," Marcus said. "No, stay. I need a witness." "Maya, this is between you and your husband. Nothing is just between 2 people anymore, not after tonight." Maya turned to face him. "Patricia is going to try to turn Will against me. She's going to say I manipulated him, lied to him, married him for access to her company. I need you here to confirm the timeline, to prove I built Phoenix Capital before I ever met Will." Marcus nodded slowly. "And if he doesn't believe you?" Maya didn't answer. She couldn't. The elevator chimed. Will stepped out. He had loosened his tie. His hair was wild, like he'd been running his hands through it. His eyes found Maya immediately, and she saw something she had never seen before. Doubt. "Everyone leave," Will said. "Will, Marcus needs to—" "I said everyone leave." Marcus gathered his things and slipped past Will without a word. The elevator doors closed. They were alone. The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. 3 years, Will finally said. 3 years, Maya. "I know. You told me you were a baker." "I am a baker. I also happen to own a private equity firm." "Happen to?" Will laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You happen to own a billion-dollar company? You happen to be the anonymous investor my mother has been desperately courting for 6 months? You happen to have evidence that she forged my father's will? Will, when were you going to tell me? After you bought the company? After you destroyed my mother? After you—" He stopped, pressing his palms against his eyes. "God, I feel like I don't even know you." Maya took a step toward him. He took a step back. That hurt more than the wine. "You know me," Maya said, her voice cracking. "You know who I am when I burn the pancakes on Sunday morning. You know who I am when I cry at those stupid dog videos. You know who I am when I wake up at 3 a.m. because I can't stop thinking about—" "I thought I knew a baker from Chicago who grew up poor, and worked her way through school.
I thought I knew someone who understood what it meant to struggle.
I do understand. How? How can you understand struggle when you're worth more than my entire family? Maya felt the words land like a blow. She thought of her mother, working double shifts at the hospital. She thought of her grandmother, raising 6 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. She thought of the nights she had eaten nothing but ramen because she was putting every penny into her company. I wasn't born rich, Will. I built this. Every single dollar. While your mother was inheriting an empire, I was sleeping on my cousin's couch and cold-calling investors who hung up the second they heard my voice. Why didn't you tell me? Because of this, Maya gestured between them. This exact moment. This look on your face. Like I'm a stranger. Like the last 3 years were a lie. Weren't they? No. Maya's voice broke. No. I fell in love with you at a farmer's market in the rain.
You bought all my cupcakes so I could go home and get dry. You didn't know I had $3 million in my bank account. You didn't care. You just saw a woman who looked tired and cold, and you wanted to help her. That's the man I married. That's the man I love. Will was quiet for a long moment. You should have told me about my mother, about the will. I was going to, tonight. After I signed the deal, I was going to give you everything, the company, the evidence, the choice of what to do with it. I wanted you to have your birthright back, Will. I wanted you to be free. Free? Will shook his head. You were going to blow up my family and call it freedom? Your mother stole from you. She forged your father's signature. She took what he wanted you to have, and she's still my mother. The words hung in the air. Maya understood, suddenly, what she was really fighting. Not Patricia, not the lies or the fraud or the cruelty. She was fighting the most powerful force in the universe, a son's love for his mother. Even when that mother didn't deserve it. What do you want me to do? Maya asked quietly. Will looked at her. Really looked. The anger was fading, replaced by something more complicated. Grief, maybe. Or exhaustion. I don't know, he admitted. I don't know anything right now. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his face changed. What is it? Maya asked. My mother. She's calling a press conference. 20 minutes. Maya grabbed her own phone. Marcus had sent a video. She played it. Patricia Thornton stood in the Plaza Ballroom, surrounded by cameras. Her mascara was perfect. Her voice was steady. She was the picture of wounded dignity. Tonight, my family was attacked, Patricia said on the video. A woman I welcomed into my home. A woman I tried to love despite her background has revealed herself to be a predator. Maya Washington is not who she claims to be. She married my son under false pretenses. She has been conducting corporate espionage against my company. And tonight, when I confronted her with the truth, she threatened me. Maya felt her blood turn to ice. I have evidence, Patricia continued, that Ms. Washington has been working with competitors to steal Thornton Maritime's trade secrets. I have evidence that her so-called investment firm is a front for hostile takeover schemes targeting vulnerable family businesses. And I have evidence that my son, William, has been manipulated and deceived by a woman who saw him as nothing more than a path to power. The video ended. Maya looked at Will. His face was unreadable. She's lying, Maya said. You know she's lying. I know my mother is a lot of things, but I've never seen her like this. Will ran his hands through his hair. She looks scared, Maya. Actually scared. She should be scared. She committed fraud. She stole your inheritance. She's about to lose everything, and she's trying to take me down with her. Or she actually believes what she's saying. Will, Maya grabbed his hands. Look at me. I have done nothing wrong. I built my company legally, ethically, and from the ground up. I fell in love with you before I ever knew who your family was. And yes, I kept secrets, but I kept them to protect you, to protect us."
Will pulled his hands away. "I need time."
"We don't have time. Your mother is out there right now destroying my reputation. If I don't respond—"
"Then respond. Do what you have to do." Will walked toward the elevator. "But don't expect me to stand next to you while you do it."
"Will, please."
The elevator doors opened. He stepped inside. "I love you, Maya. I do. But I don't know who I married anymore. And until I figure that out," he pressed the button, "I need to be alone." The doors closed. Maya stood in the empty penthouse, wine-stained and shaking. And for the first time in years, she felt truly alone. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. "Patricia's lawyer just filed an emergency injunction. They're trying to freeze your personal assets. She's also claiming emotional distress and defamation. She wants $1.5 billion. Maya read the message twice. Then she started to laugh. It was the wrong reaction, probably. Her marriage was falling apart. Her identity was exposed. A woman worth nothing was suing her for everything. But somehow, the absurdity of it all cracked something open inside her. Patricia Thornton wanted a war? Fine. Maya had been preparing for this battle her entire life. She called Marcus back. "Get Julian on the phone, and find me everything we have on Patricia's lawyer. What's her name?" "Diane Foster. They call her the executioner." "Good. I want to know every case she's lost, every client she's failed, every skeleton in her closet."
"Maya, are you sure about this? If you escalate—" Patricia threw the first punch. "She's been throwing punches for 3 years. The only difference now is that I'm finally throwing back." She hung up and walked to the window. Manhattan sparkled below her, a grid of lights and ambition and broken dreams. Her phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. "You should have stayed in the kitchen, little baker. This city is going to eat you alive." Maya stared at the message. Patricia, probably, or one of her society friends. She typed back one word: watch. 45 minutes later, Maya walked into the lobby of the Four Seasons, where a hastily arranged press conference was already in progress. She had changed clothes, a sharp red blazer over black pants. No jewelry, no makeup to hide the faint wine stain still visible on her neck. She wanted them to see it. She wanted them to remember what Patricia had done. The reporters noticed her immediately. Cameras swung in her direction. Microphones appeared like hungry mouths. "Ms. Washington, is it true you defrauded the Thornton family?" "Ms. Washington, did you marry William Thornton for his money?" "Ms. Washington, how do you respond to Patricia Thornton's allegations?" Maya walked straight to the podium. The moderator tried to stop her. She ignored him. "My name is Maya Washington," she said, her voice clear and steady. 3 hours ago, Patricia Thornton threw wine in my face in front of 400 witnesses. She called me street trash. She said I didn't belong in her world. And now she's standing in front of cameras, claiming to be the victim. The room went quiet. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. My mother was a nurse who worked 3 jobs to keep food on our table. She died when I was 24 because she couldn't afford the treatments that might have saved her. After she was gone, I took the $10,000 she left me and I built something. Not because I wanted to be rich, because I never wanted anyone else to feel as powerless as I did watching her die. Maya pulled out a folder. This is the incorporation document for Phoenix Capital Partners, dated 8 years ago, 3 years before I met William Thornton, 3 years before I knew the Thornton family existed. She held up another document,
This is my company's tax filing from last year. $2.3 billion in managed assets. Built from nothing. Built by me. She looked directly into the cameras. Patricia Thornton says I married her son for money. But here's the truth. I have more money than she does. I have more money than her entire family combined. I didn't need William Thornton's trust fund. I didn't need his name. I didn't need anything from the Thorntons except what William gave me freely. His love. A reporter shouted, "Then why did you hide your identity?" Because money changes how people look at you. I learned that lesson young. My father won the lottery when I was 12. $70 million. Within 5 years, everyone we loved had betrayed us or abandoned us or tried to sue us. My father drank himself to death. My mother worked herself to death. And I promised myself I would never let money define my relationships again. Maya set the folder down. William Thornton fell in love with a baker from Chicago. And I fell in love with a lawyer who spent his weekends volunteering at legal aid clinics instead of sailing on his mother's yacht. We were both hiding in our own ways. Hiding from families that measured value in dollar signs instead of character. "What about the fraud allegations?" another reporter called out. There is no fraud. Phoenix Capital's books are open for any investigation. We've built our reputation on transparency and ethical investment. Maya paused. Unlike Thornton Maritime. The room stirred. I have documentation showing that Patricia Thornton raided her company's employee pension fund to cover personal debts. I have documentation showing irregularities in the Singapore division that suggest systematic fraud. And I have documentation suggesting that the will of Charles Thornton Sr., Patricia's late husband, was altered after his death to remove his son as primary beneficiary. Chaos erupted. "Are you accusing Patricia Thornton of forgery? How did you obtain these documents? Will you be pressing charges?" Maya held up her hand. "I came here tonight to defend myself against false accusations. But I also came here to ask a question." She looked directly into the nearest camera, imagining Patricia watching from somewhere nearby. "Mrs. Thornton, if you have nothing to hide, then release your husband's original will. Let an independent expert examine it. Let the truth speak for itself." Maya stepped back from the podium. "I'll take no more questions, but I will say this. I did not start this fight. I spent 3 years trying to make peace with a woman who saw me as an enemy from the moment we met. Tonight, she made her choice. Now I'm making mine." She walked out through a storm of flashbulbs and shouted questions. Marcus met her in the service hallway. "That was either brilliant or suicidal." "It was necessary." "Patricia's lawyer is already on the phone with the DA. They're talking criminal charges, Maya. Theft of proprietary documents. Corporate espionage." "They won't stick. Every document I have was obtained legally through due diligence on a potential acquisition." "You know that. I know that. But a jury in Manhattan?" Marcus shook his head. "These people protect their own." "Then we fight. We fight until there's nothing left to fight for." Her phone buzzed. A text from Will. "I watched the press conference. We need to talk. Meet me at home." Maya's heart clenched. Home. Their tiny Brooklyn apartment with the leaky faucet and the neighbor who played saxophone at midnight. The place where they had built a life together. One pancake and one argument and one quiet Sunday at a time. She didn't know if home still existed anymore, but she was about to find out. The cab ride to Brooklyn took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of Maya staring at her phone, watching the story explode across social media. #Winegate was trending. So was hashtag Team Maya. And so was hashtag Gold Digger. The internet had already chosen sides. Half the world saw her as a hero. The other half saw exactly what Patricia wanted them to see: a scheming outsider who had infiltrated high society. The cab stopped in front of their brownstone. Will was sitting on the stoop, still in his tuxedo, looking like a man who had aged 10 years in one night. Maya paid the driver and walked toward him. "You didn't have to come," she said. "Yeah, I did." Will stood up. "I've been sitting here for an hour trying to figure out how I feel. Trying to figure out if our entire marriage was a lie." "It wasn't." "I know." He took her hands. "I watched your press conference. I saw your face when you talked about your mother, about your father, about why you hide who you are." He swallowed hard. "I hide too, Maya. I've been hiding my whole life. From my mother's expectations, from my family's legacy, from the person I was supposed to become." "Will, let me finish." He squeezed her hands. "You should have told me. The secrets, the company, my father's will. I had a right to know. And I'm angry about that. I'm going to be angry about that for a while." Maya nodded, tears burning in her eyes. "But I also know who you are." Will touched her face, wiping away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. "You're the woman who donates half her salary to the children's hospital without telling anyone. You're the woman who cries at dog videos and burns pancakes and falls asleep reading contracts at 2 in the morning. You're my wife, and whatever happens next, I'm not walking away from that." Maya broke. All the fear, all the pressure, all the years of carrying secrets too heavy for one person, it came pouring out. She collapsed against Will's chest and sobbed. He held her. Right there on the Brooklyn sidewalk, in their wedding clothes, with the whole world watching through phone screens and hashtags. He held her. "We're going to get through this," Will whispered. "Your mother will never stop." "Then we'll stop her together," Maya pulled back. "You'd do that? Fight your own mother?" Will's jaw tightened. "She stole my father's legacy. She spent 3 years torturing the woman I love, and tonight she poured wine on my wife and called her trash in front of everyone we know." His voice hardened. "Yeah, Maya, I'll fight her. I'll fight her until there's nothing left to fight." Above them, a window opened. Their neighbor stuck his head out. "Hey, are you two okay? I saw you on the news." Maya laughed through her tears. "We're fine, Mr. Patterson." "You need anything? I got leftover lasagna." "We're good, thank you." The window closed. Will shook his head. "I love this neighborhood." "Me too." They stood there for a moment, holding each other, letting the chaos of the night settle into something manageable. Then Will's phone rang. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. "What?" Maya asked. "It's the hospital. My mother collapsed at the press conference. They're saying it might be a heart attack." Maya's stomach dropped. "Go," she said immediately. "Go be with her." "Maya, she's your mother, Will. Whatever she's done, you need to be there." Will hesitated, torn between two worlds, two loyalties, two versions of himself. Then he kissed Maya hard and ran for a cab. She watched him disappear into the night. And standing there alone on the Brooklyn sidewalk, Maya Washington realized that the real battle was only just beginning. The hospital waiting room smelled like antiseptic and fear. Maya had waited 2 hours before coming. 2 hours of pacing in her apartment, checking her phone every 30 seconds, wondering if showing up would make things better or worse. In the end, she couldn't stay away. Will was sitting in a plastic chair, still wearing his wrinkled tuxedo. He looked up when she walked in, and something in his face cracked open. "You came." "Of course I came." Maya sat beside him. "How is she?" "Stable. It wasn't a heart attack. Panic attack. Severe one." Will rubbed his eyes. "The doctors say stress triggered it. She's been hiding health problems for months. High blood pressure, anxiety medication. She never told anyone." Maya processed this. Patricia Thornton, the woman who seemed invincible, had been crumbling from the inside.
"Can I see her?" Will looked at her sharply. "Why would you want to?"
"Because she's your mother. Because whatever happens between us and her, I need to look her in the eye."
"She'll attack you."
"Let her try."
Will stood up slowly. "Room 412. But Maya," he caught her arm, "be careful. Even when she's weak, she's dangerous." Maya walked down the hall alone. Her heels echoed on the linoleum. Each step felt heavier than the last. Room 412. She pushed open the door. Patricia lay in the hospital bed, looking smaller than Maya had ever seen her. The diamonds were gone. The perfect hair was limp against the pillow. Without her armor, she looked like what she was, a 63-year-old woman who had run out of moves. Her eyes opened when Maya entered. For a moment, there was confusion, then recognition, then pure, undiluted hatred.
"Get out." "No. I said get out. I'll call security." "Call them."
Maya pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down. "I'm not leaving until the hospital waiting room smelled like antiseptic and fear." Maya had waited 2 hours before coming. 2 hours of pacing in her apartment, checking her phone, wondering if showing up would make things better or worse. In the end, she couldn't stay away. Will was sitting in a plastic chair, still wearing his wrinkled tuxedo. Dark circles had formed under his eyes. He looked up when she walked in, and something in his face shifted. "You came."
"Of course I came."
Maya sat beside him.
"How is she?"
"Stable. Wasn't a heart attack. Panic attack. Severe." Will rubbed his face with both hands. "Doctors say she's been hiding health problems for months. High blood pressure, anxiety medication she never told anyone about." Maya absorbed this. Patricia Thornton, the woman who seemed carved from marble, had been crumbling from the inside.
"Can I see her?"
Will's head snapped toward her. "Why would you want to?"
"Because she's your mother."
"Because whatever war is coming, I need to look her in the eye first. She'll tear you apart."
"Let her try."
Will stood slowly. "Room 412. But Maya," he caught her arm. His grip was tight. "Even weak, she's dangerous. Don't underestimate her." Maya walked down the corridor alone. Her heels clicked against linoleum. Each step felt heavier than the last. Room 412. She pushed the door open. Patricia lay in the hospital bed looking like a different person. The diamonds were gone. The sculpted hair was flat against the pillow. The emerald gown had been replaced by a faded hospital Johnny. Without her armor, she looked exactly like what she was. A 63-year-old woman who had finally run out of moves. Her eyes opened when Maya entered. Confusion first, then recognition. Then something Maya had never seen from Patricia before. Fear. "Get out." "No." "I said get out. I'll call security. I'll have you arrested for trespassing." "Call them." Maya pulled a chair to the bedside and sat. "I'm not leaving until we talk." Patricia's hand trembled as she reached for the call button, but she didn't press it. Instead, she let her hand fall back to the thin blanket. "What do you want? Come to gloat? Watch the mighty Patricia Thornton brought low?" "I came to offer you a deal."
Patricia laughed. It turned into a cough. A deal. You destroy my company, humiliate me in public, send me to the hospital, and now you want to make a deal? I didn't destroy anything. Your company was drowning long before I entered the picture. I was trying to save it. Save it? Patricia's voice rose. You were trying to steal it, just like you stole my son. I didn't steal Will. He chose me. Every single day he chooses me. That's what real love looks like, Patricia. I know it's unfamiliar to you. Patricia's face twisted. For a moment, Maya thought she would scream for the nurses. Instead, she said something unexpected.
You think I don't know about love? Maya waited. I love Charles, Will's father. I loved him more than I've ever loved anything in my life, Patricia's voice cracked. And do you know what he did? He left everything to William. Everything. 40 years of marriage, and he left me nothing but a title and an allowance. Like I was the help. Maya felt something shift in her understanding. Not sympathy exactly, but recognition. So you changed the will. I protected myself. Something you clearly understand, hiding your billions behind shell companies and fake identities. That's different. Is it? Patricia turned her head to face Maya fully. We're more alike than you want to admit, little Baker. We both came from nothing. We both clawed our way into worlds that didn't want us. The only difference is that I got here first. Maya went still. What did you say? Oh, did you think I didn't do my research? A ghost of Patricia's old smile appeared. I know everything about you, Maya Washington. I know about the lottery money. I know about your father drinking himself to death. I know about your mother dying in a county hospital because she couldn't afford proper care. Maya's hands clenched. I also know, Patricia continued, that you grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 6 other people. That you wore second-hand clothes until you were 16. That you got a scholarship to Northwestern because you were poor and black and female. 3 boxes checked with 1 application. Don't. The truth hurts, doesn't it? You look at me and see some society princess who was handed everything. But I grew up in Kentucky coal country. My father worked himself to death in a mine. My mother cleaned houses until her hands bled. I know exactly what you are, Maya, because I was you. 40 years ago, I was the outsider trying to break in. Maya forced herself to breathe. Then why? Why treat me like dirt for 3 years? Why make my life hell when you could have... Could have what? Welcomed you? Embraced you as a daughter? Patricia laughed bitterly. Because I remember what it was like being the outsider. And I remember what I had to do to survive. I had to be harder than everyone else. Colder. More ruthless. I couldn't afford to show weakness, because weakness gets you thrown away. So you decided to throw me away first. I decided to test you, to see if you were strong enough to survive this family. By pouring wine on me in public? By calling me street trash? Patricia's face flickered. I lost control. I was terrified. The company is failing. The creditors are circling. And then I found out the mysterious savior I'd been courting was the same woman I'd been trying to destroy for 3 years. She closed her eyes. I panicked. Maya studied the woman in the hospital bed. The woman who had made her life miserable. The woman who had tried to break her marriage, ruin her reputation, and steal her future. And she saw, for the first time, a frightened girl from Kentucky who had never stopped running. I'm not going to sign the deal, Maya said quietly. Patricia's eyes opened. I know. But I'm also not going to destroy you. Silence. What? Maya stood up. The documents I have, the pension fraud, the Singapore irregularities, the forged will, I could release them tomorrow. You'd be in prison by Christmas. Then why don't you? Because Will loves you. Despite everything,
he still loves his mother. And I love Will. Which means I have to find a way to end this that doesn't require burning everything to the ground. Patricia stared at her. What do you want? I want you to step down, quietly. Announce your retirement, cite health reasons, and let Will take over as CEO. I'll restructure the debt through Phoenix Capital, and the company survives. And the will? The fraud? Stays buried as long as you never threaten me or my family again. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Maya could see her calculating, weighing options, looking for angles. What's to stop me from agreeing now and attacking you later? Maya smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. Because I'll keep the documents. Every last one. And if you ever come after me again, if you so much as give me a dirty look at Thanksgiving, I'll destroy you. Not financially. Personally. I'll make sure every society wife in Manhattan knows that Patricia Thornton grew up dirt poor in coal country and clawed her way in through forgery and fraud. Patricia went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. The heart monitor beeped steadily in the silence. Patricia looked at Maya with new eyes, calculating eyes, respecting eyes. You really are a piece of work, Patricia said finally. I learned from watching you. Patricia actually laughed. A real laugh, not the poisonous society titter Maya was used to. God help us all. I think I finally understand what my son sees in you. Is that a yes? Patricia closed her eyes. She looked exhausted, ancient. Done. Get Diane Foster in here, my lawyer. We'll draw up the papers tonight. Maya felt something unclench in her chest. I'll have Marcus bring the restructuring terms in the morning. Maya. She turned at the door. Patricia's eyes were still closed. For what it's worth, I'm sorry about the wine. It was a cheap shot. Beneath me. Yes, it was. But those cupcakes you make? A ghost of a smile. They're actually quite good. The lemon ones especially. Maya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Get some rest, Patricia. We have a lot of work to do tomorrow. She walked out. Will was standing in the hallway, leaning against the wall like a man who had just run a marathon. He straightened when he saw her face. What happened? You were in there for an hour. We talked. Talked? You and my mother don't talk. You survive each other. Maya took his hands. She's going to step down, Will. She's going to give you the company. Will's face went through several emotions at once. Shock, disbelief, hope, fear. She agreed to that? She didn't have much choice, but yes, she agreed. And the fraud? The forged will? Stays buried, for now, unless she breaks the agreement. Will pulled her into a hug so tight Maya couldn't breathe. She didn't care. She held him back just as tight. I don't know how you did it, he whispered into her hair, but thank you. Don't thank me yet. The hard part is just beginning. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. We have a problem. Diane Foster just went on CNN. She's claiming Patricia was coerced while hospitalized. She's saying you threatened a sick old woman. The story is blowing up again. Maya closed her eyes. Of course. Nothing was ever simple with the Thorntons. What is it? Will asked. Your mother's lawyer. She's not going down quietly. Diane Foster? She's a barracuda. She's been with our family for decades. Then she knows all the secrets. Will's face changed. All of them. Maya's mind started racing. Diane Foster had been the Thornton family lawyer for 20 years. She had handled Charles Sr.'s estate. She had probably witnessed the will, which meant she knew it had been forged, which meant she was complicit. Will, does your mother have anything on Diane? Anything that would keep her loyal? I don't know. They've always been close. Too close, actually. My father never trusted her. Maya grabbed her phone and called Marcus. I need everything you can find on Diane Foster. Every case, every client, every parking ticket. Go back 20 years. That'll take time. We don't have time. She's on CNN right now turning me into a villain. I'll call Julian. He has contacts at the state bar. Maya hung up. Her mind was spinning. Patricia had agreed to step down, but Diane Foster was a wild card. If she had helped forge the will, she had her own secrets to protect, her own reasons to keep fighting. I need to get to the studio, Maya said. Now? It's 2 a.m. If I don't respond to this, the narrative sets without me. By morning, I'll be the monster who terrorized a sick old woman in her hospital bed. Will grabbed his jacket. I'm coming with you. Will, you don't have to. Yes, I do. His jaw was set. 3 years I let my mother attack you while I stood on the sidelines. Not anymore. If we're doing this, we're doing it together. They took a cab to CNN's Manhattan studio. The producer was surprised to see them. Apparently, Diane Foster had claimed they were unavailable for comment. Maya sat across from the anchor, a sharp-eyed woman named Rachel Torres, who looked like she hadn't slept in days. Ms. Washington, Ms. Foster claims you threatened Patricia Thornton while she was hospitalized. She says you coerced a vulnerable woman into signing away her company. That's completely false. I visited Mrs. Thornton to offer her a way out of this mess. A peaceful resolution that would protect her family and her legacy. She says you threatened to release damaging documents unless she complied. I offered to keep private matters private in exchange for her stepping down gracefully. That's not coercion. That's negotiation. What kind of private matters? Maya hesitated. This was the moment. She could blow Patricia's life apart right now on national television. End the fight forever. But she thought about Will, about promises, about the kind of person she wanted to be. Financial irregularities in the company that would be embarrassing to the family. I agreed to handle them quietly if Mrs. Thornton allowed her son to take over. That's all. Rachel Torres leaned forward. Mrs. Foster is also claiming that your investment firm, Phoenix Capital, has a history of hostile takeovers targeting family businesses. Every acquisition Phoenix Capital has made has been legal, ethical, and beneficial to the employees involved. Our track record speaks for itself. She's calling for an SEC investigation. She's welcome to request one. We have nothing to hide. Will shifted in his seat beside her. Maya could feel his tension. Mr. Thornton, Rachel turned to him, your mother claims your wife manipulated you, that she married you under false pretenses to gain access to your family's company. Will looked directly into the camera. My wife is the most honest person I know. She built her company from nothing while I was coasting on a name I didn't earn. If anyone married up, it was me. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. She kept her wealth hidden from me because she wanted to be loved for who she is, not what she has. I understand that choice. I respect it, and I stand by her completely. Rachel Torres looked between them. Strong words, Mr. Thornton. Your mother won't be happy. My mother hasn't been happy since 1987. That's not my wife's fault. That's not anyone's fault. It's just who she is. They left the studio as the sun was rising over Manhattan. Maya leaned against Will in the back of the cab, exhausted beyond words. You were amazing in there, she murmured. I was terrified, but you needed backup. I always need backup. I'm just not good at asking for it. I noticed. He kissed the top of her head. We should go home. Sleep. Figure out the next move when we're not running on fumes. Maya's phone buzzed. Marcus again. Found something. Diane Foster was disbarred in New Jersey in 2003 for witness tampering. The records were sealed, but Julian got a source to confirm. She paid off witnesses in a wrongful death case. Maya sat up straight. "What?" Will asked. "Diane Foster. She's not just Patricia's lawyer. She's a fixer. And she's dirty." "Dirty how?" "Witness tampering. Sealed records. Will, if she helped your mother forge the will, she's not just protecting Patricia. She's protecting herself." Will's face hardened. "Then she's not going to stop. She can't afford to let the truth come out." "No, she can't." Maya stared at her phone, watching the city wake up around them. Diane Foster had just become the real enemy, and unlike Patricia, she had nothing left to lose. Maya called Marcus back. "Set up a meeting. Tomorrow. Me, Diane Foster, and nobody else." "Maya, that's insane. She'll eat you alive." "No, she'll try. But I have something she wants." "What's that?" "I have the only copy of the original will. The real one. Charles Thornton Sr. made sure of that before he died." Maya smiled grimly. "And Diane Foster doesn't know I have it. Yet." The cab stopped in front of their Brooklyn apartment. Will was staring at her. "The original will. How long have you had it?" 6 months. It was in a safety deposit box your father set up under a false name. He knew what was coming, Will. He knew Patricia would try to cheat you. So he left a trail, and I followed it. Why didn't you tell me?" Maya turned to face him fully. "Because I needed to be sure. About Patricia, about Diane, about the whole rotten structure." She took his hands. "Your father loved you, Will. He wanted you to have everything, but he also knew you weren't ready to fight your mother. So he left the fight to someone who was. You. Me." Will was quiet for a long time. Then he laughed. It was a tired, overwhelmed, slightly hysterical laugh. "My father. That crafty old bastard. He planned this from beyond the grave. He planned for the truth to come out. He just couldn't have known it would take 3 years and a very expensive glass of wine." Will pulled her close. "I love you, Maya Washington." "I love you too, Will Thornton." "Let's go inside. I'll make pancakes. You'll burn them." "Probably, but it's the thought that counts." They walked into their building as the sun broke fully over Brooklyn. In 12 hours, Maya would face Diane Foster alone. In 24 hours, the truth about Charles Thornton's will would finally come to light. But for now, just for a few hours, she would let herself rest. The war was almost over. She could feel it. 12 hours later, Maya sat alone in a conference room on the 47th floor of the Chrysler Building. She had chosen the location carefully. Neutral territory. Neither Thornton's turf nor her own. Just glass and steel and the weight of what was about to happen. The door opened. Diane Foster walked in like a woman who had already won. Red power suit, sharp heels, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. She carried a leather briefcase that probably cost more than Maya's first car. "Ms. Washington." Diane didn't offer her hand. "I'm surprised you wanted to meet. After your little performance on CNN, I assumed you'd be hiding behind your lawyers." "I don't hide, Miss Foster. Not from anyone." Diane sat across from her. "Then let's stop wasting time. You're going to drop your claims against Patricia Thornton. You're going to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and you're going to walk away from this family permanently." Maya didn't blink. Or I bury you. I have 40 years of experience destroying people who threaten my clients. You're not special, Miss Washington. You're just another obstacle." "Is that what you told Charles Thornton? That his son was just an obstacle?" Diane's smile flickered. Excuse me? Charles Thornton Sr., your client for 23 years. The man whose will you helped Patricia forge. I have no idea what you're talking about. Maya opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick manila envelope. She slid it across the table. That's interesting, because I have the original will, the real one, signed by Charles Thornton 6 weeks before he died, witnessed by his personal physician and his former business partner, both of whom provided sworn statements confirming its authenticity. Diane's face went white. Go ahead. Maya nodded at the envelope. Look at it. Diane's hand trembled slightly as she opened the envelope. She scanned the document. Her jaw tightened with each page. Where did you get this? Charles left it in a safety deposit box under a false name. He knew what was coming, Diane. He knew Patricia would try to steal everything. So he left a trail. A very careful, very well-documented trail. This proves nothing. It proves everything. Compare the signatures. Look at the dates. Your forged version was filed 3 days after Charles died. This one was signed 6 weeks before. And look at page 7. Diane flipped to page 7. Her face went gray. That's a handwritten note from Charles to his son, explaining exactly why he was hiding the real will.
Explaining that he suspected his wife and his lawyer were planning to defraud his family. Explaining that he was leaving instructions for someone he trusted to find the truth. Who? Maya smiled. His nurse, a woman named Eleanor Hayes. Charles paid her $50,000 to hide the documents and wait for the right person to come looking. She died 2 years ago, but before she did, she contacted me, because I was already investigating Thornton Maritime, because I was already asking questions that made people nervous. Diane was silent. Do you want to know what else Eleanor told me? Maya leaned forward. She told me about the night Charles died. She told me about the argument she overheard between Patricia and her husband. She told me about Patricia threatening to make sure Charles never saw his grandchildren if he didn't change the will. She told me about Charles crying in his hospital bed, begging his wife to let him leave something for his son. Stop. She told me about you, Diane, standing in the corner, taking notes, planning how to make it all disappear. I said stop. Diane's voice cracked. The mask was slipping. Maya pushed harder. You've been protecting Patricia for 20 years. Not because you're loyal, because you're complicit. You helped her forge a dead man's will. You helped her steal millions from her own son. And if anyone ever found out, you wouldn't just lose your license. You'd go to prison. You can't prove any of this. I don't have to prove it. I just have to release it. Maya pulled out her phone. I have journalists from 6 major outlets waiting for this story. One text and your career is over. One text and you're the headline on every news channel in America. Diane stared at the phone. Her breathing was ragged. What do you want? The same thing I've wanted from the beginning. Justice. Not revenge. Justice. What does that mean? Maya tucked the phone away. It means Patricia steps down, quietly. She announces her retirement, cites health reasons, and hands the company to Will. You resign as Thornton Family Counsel, permanently. And both of you sign statements acknowledging that Will is the rightful heir to his father's estate. Patricia will never agree to that. Patricia already agreed, last night in her hospital bed. She's tired, Diane. She's been fighting for 40 years, and she's finally run out of fight. The question is whether you want to go down with her. Diane's hands were shaking now. Her entire careful world was crumbling. And if I agree, what happens to the documents? They stay locked away, unless someone breaks the agreement. Then everything comes out. Every document,
every recording, every piece of evidence Charles Thornton spent the last months of his life collecting. He was thorough. He was a father who loved his son. That tends to make people thorough. Diane was quiet for a long moment. Maya could see her calculating, weighing options, looking for escape routes that didn't exist. Finally, she spoke. "There's something you don't know." Maya waited. "Charles Thornton didn't just leave documents. He left a video." Maya's heart stopped. "What video?" "A confession. His own confession. Recorded 3 days before he died. He knew what Patricia was planning. He knew she would try to rewrite history. So he recorded himself explaining everything. The real will. The fraud. His final wishes for his son." Diane's voice was hollow. "I've had that video for 5 years. I've been using it to keep Patricia in line. Every time she threatens to cut me out, I remind her what happens if that video goes public." Maya's mind raced. "Where is it?" "In my office. In a safe that only I can open." "Give it to me." "If I give it to you, I have nothing left. No leverage. No protection." "If you don't give it to me, you have nothing left anyway. I'm offering you a way out, Diane." "Take it." Diane closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. The fight was gone. "I'll get you the video, but I want one thing in return." "Name it." "Let me disappear. No prosecution. No public humiliation. Just let me walk away and start over somewhere else." Maya considered this. Diane Foster had helped steal millions from a dying man's son. She had covered up fraud, intimidated witnesses, destroyed evidence. She deserved prison. But she also had the key to ending this forever. "Fine. You get the video to me by tonight. You resign tomorrow, and you disappear. But Diane," Maya leaned forward, "if I ever see your face again, if you ever contact the Thorntons, if you ever do anything to threaten my family, I will destroy you. Not legally, personally. I will make sure everyone in your new life knows exactly who you are and what you've done." Diane nodded slowly. "I understand." "Then we're done here." Maya stood and walked toward the door. "Miss Washington." She turned. Diane was still sitting at the table, looking older than her years. "For what it's worth, Charles was right about you. He said someone would come eventually, someone strong enough to finish what he started, someone who loved his son enough to fight for him." She paused. "I didn't believe him. I thought he was delirious from the medication. But here you are. Here I am. He would have liked you." Maya didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. She just walked out. Marcus was waiting in the lobby. "Well?" "She's going to give us the video." "Video? What video?" "Charles Thornton recorded a confession before he died. His final wishes. Everything. Diane has been sitting on it for 5 years." Marcus looked stunned. That's incredible." "It's insurance. Once we have that video, Patricia can never come after us again. Neither can anyone else." "What about Diane?" "She disappears. New life, new identity. We never see her again."
"You're letting her walk? After everything she did?" Maya started walking toward the exit. "Sometimes winning means knowing when to stop fighting. Diane Foster is done. She'll spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's punishment enough." They stepped out onto the street. The afternoon sun was warm on Maya's face. Her phone rang. Will. "Hey, how did it go?" "It's over, Will. It's finally over." Silence. Then, "What do you mean, over?"
Diane is resigning. Your mother is stepping down. And your father left something for you. Something that proves everything. I don't understand. Come home. I'll explain everything. She hung up. Marcus was watching her. What now? Now we wait for the video. Then we rebuild. The company, the family, everything. And Patricia? Maya thought about the woman in the hospital bed, the frightened girl from Kentucky who had spent her whole life running from poverty, the mother who had loved her son in the only twisted way she knew how. Patricia gets to retire with her dignity intact. That's more than she deserves, but it's what Will needs. You're a better person than I am, Maya. No, I'm just a person who's tired of fighting. That evening, Maya and Will sat in their Brooklyn apartment, watching the video Charles Thornton had recorded 5 years ago. His face filled the screen. He looked tired, sick, but his eyes were clear. If you're watching this, it means someone found the truth. I hope it's my son. I hope William is sitting there right now, finally understanding why his father seemed so distant in his final years. I wasn't distant, William. I was protecting you. I was gathering evidence. I was making sure that when I was gone, you would have everything you needed to reclaim what was rightfully yours. Will's hand found Maya's. He was trembling. Your mother is not a bad woman. She's a frightened woman. She grew up with nothing, and she spent her whole life terrified of going back to nothing. That fear made her do terrible things. But she loved you, William. In her own broken way, she loved you. Tears were streaming down Will's face. I should have been stronger. I should have stood up to her while I was alive. But I was weak. I was tired. And I convinced myself that I could fix everything from beyond the grave. I hope I was right. I hope whoever is watching this uses it wisely, not for revenge, for justice. Charles leaned closer to the camera. To my son, you are better than me, better than your mother, better than this whole rotten family. Find someone who loves you for who you are, not what you have. Build something real. And when you have children, teach them that money is a tool, not a god. Teach them that love is the only currency that matters. The video ended. Will was crying openly now. Maya held him as his body shook with years of grief, years of confusion, years of wondering why his father had seemed so cold. He loved me, Will whispered. Of course he loved you. He was trying to protect me. Yes, and I spent years thinking he didn't care, thinking I was just a disappointment, thinking, shh. Maya pulled him closer. He knew, Will. He knew you would understand eventually. That's why he left the trail. That's why he trusted Eleanor to find the right person. He trusted you. He trusted that someone who loved his son would come along. He didn't know it would be me. He just had faith. Will pulled back and looked at her. His face was red, swollen, beautiful. What do we do now? Now we take back what's yours. Tomorrow, you walk into Thornton Maritime as CEO. Your mother retires. Diane disappears. And we start building the company your father always wanted. Together? Together. Will kissed her. It tasted like tears and hope, and the end of something terrible. I don't deserve you, Maya Washington. You're right, you don't, she smiled. But you're stuck with me anyway. The next morning, the press conference was held in the Thornton Maritime boardroom. Maya stood in the back, watching as Will took his place at the head of the table. Patricia sat to his right, looking smaller than ever, but dignified. She had kept her word. Good morning, Will said. As many of you know, my family has been through a difficult period. My mother has decided, after careful consideration, to step down as CEO of Thornton Maritime. She will remain as Chairman Emerita, but day-to-day operations will now fall to me. Questions erupted. Will held up his hand. I know there has been speculation about the circumstances surrounding this transition. I want to be clear. My mother is retiring for health reasons.
We are grateful for her decades of service to this company, and we wish her a peaceful and well-deserved rest. He paused. I also want to address the rumors about my wife, Maya Washington. Maya is not a predator. She is not a gold digger. She is the most brilliant, compassionate, and fiercely loyal person I have ever known, and she will be taking a seat on our board of directors, effective immediately. The room buzzed. Maya felt her heart swell. Thornton Maritime is entering a new era, an era of transparency, ethical leadership, and sustainable growth. My father built this company on principles of integrity. We lost sight of those principles. It's time to find them again. Will looked at Maya. She nodded. Are there any questions? Hands shot up everywhere. Maya slipped out of the room. She didn't need to hear the rest. She knew how it would end. In the hallway, Patricia was waiting. She looked different, softer somehow, or maybe just older.
You didn't have to give me the title, Patricia said. Chairman Emerita. That was generous. It was Will's idea. He wanted you to have something. After everything I did. You're his mother, Patricia. He can't just erase that. Patricia nodded slowly. I watched the video last night. Charles's confession. Will sent it to me. Maya didn't respond. I forgot, Patricia said quietly. I forgot that he loved me once. Before the money and the power and the fear. We were happy once, Charles and I. Two kids from nothing who thought they could conquer the world together. What happened? The world conquered us instead. Patricia's eyes were wet. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Maya. I know I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I see you now. I see what you are. And I'm grateful my son found someone strong enough to save this family from itself. Maya didn't know what to say. 3 years of hatred, 3 years of battles, and now this. An apology. Maybe even respect. Take care of him, Patricia said. He's all I have left. I will. Patricia turned and walked away. Her heels clicked on the marble floor, getting softer and softer until they faded completely. Maya watched her go. Then she pulled out her phone and called her grandmother. Baby girl? Ruth's voice was warm and strong, despite her 80 years. I saw the news. You did it? I did it, Grandma. I knew you would. From the moment you were born, I knew you were going to shake the world. I almost didn't. There were so many moments I wanted to quit. But you didn't. That's what matters. The lion doesn't concern herself with the opinions of sheep, remember? Maya laughed through sudden tears. I remember. Now come home and visit me. Bring that husband of yours. I want to feed him properly. He's too skinny. I will, Grandma. Soon. I love you, baby girl. I love you too. Maya hung up. Behind her, the press conference was ending. Reporters were filing out. Will was shaking hands, looking confident and capable, and exactly like the CEO his father had always believed he could be. He caught her eye across the room. He smiled. And Maya Washington, the baker from Chicago, the billionaire who built an empire from nothing, the woman who had just taken down one of New York's most powerful families, smiled back. The war was over. Now it was time to build something beautiful from the ashes. 6 months changed everything. Maya stood at the window of her new office on the 40th floor of Thornton Tower, watching Manhattan wake up below. The building had been renamed 3 months ago. No more Sterling. No more ghosts. Just Thornton.
the way Charles Sr. had always wanted it. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. The Tokyo deal closed, 12% above asking. And the Singapore restructuring? Clean, no traces of the old fraud. The auditors signed off this morning. Maya allowed herself a small smile. 6 months of 18-hour days. 6 months of rebuilding a company from the inside out. 6 months of proving that she wasn't just a hostile takeover artist, but a builder. Good work, Marcus. It's your work. I just follow orders. You do more than that. You always have. She hung up as the door opened behind her. Will walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He looked different now. Confident. Settled. The haunted look that had lived in his eyes for years was finally gone. Big day, he said, handing her a cup. Every day is a big day lately. This one's different. Will set down his coffee and pulled out his phone. Check the news. Maya opened the app. The headline hit her like a wave. Thornton Maritime named most ethical company in shipping industry. We did it, Will said quietly. We did it. They stood there together, looking at the headline, letting the weight of it sink in. 6 months ago, Thornton Maritime had been synonymous with fraud, corruption, and family dysfunction. Now it was being celebrated as a model of corporate ethics. Your father would be proud, Maya said. He'd be proud of you. This was your vision. It was his vision. I just finished what he started. Will's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his face changed. Who is it? Maya asked. My mother. 6 months. Patricia had kept her word. She had stayed quiet, stayed away, stayed in her Greenwich mansion with her memories and her regrets. She hadn't called once. Until now. Answer it, Maya said. Will hesitated, then picked up. Mother? Maya couldn't hear Patricia's words, but she could see their effect on Will's face. Confusion first, then surprise, then something that looked like hope. When? Will asked. Today? Yes, I'll be there. We'll be there. He hung up. What is it? She wants to see us, both of us. She says she has something important to show us. Will, if this is some kind of trap, it's not. Will's voice was certain. I know my mother's manipulations. This wasn't one of them. She sounded different. Scared, almost. Maya's instincts were screaming at her to stay away. But she had learned something over the past 6 months. Sometimes the bravest thing you could do was trust. Okay, let's go. The drive to Greenwich took 2 hours. 2 hours of silence, of held hands, of wondering what waited at the end. Patricia's mansion looked smaller than Maya remembered. Or maybe she had just grown. The housekeeper led them to the library. Patricia was sitting in a wing-back chair by the fireplace. She looked thin, fragile. The power suits were gone, replaced by a simple cashmere sweater and slacks. You came, Patricia said. You asked us to, Will replied. Patricia gestured to the chairs across from her. Sit, please. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you a long time ago. Maya and Will sat. The fire crackled softly. I'm dying, Patricia said. The words hung in the air. What? Will's voice cracked. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. The doctors found it 3 weeks ago. I have maybe 6 months, maybe less. Maya felt the room tilt. Whatever she had expected, it wasn't this. Mother! Will started to stand, but Patricia held up her hand. Don't. I don't want pity. I don't deserve it. I've spent my life taking from people. From your father, from you, from Maya. And now I have nothing left to take.
She paused. Except maybe this. Patricia reached into the drawer beside her chair and pulled out a thick envelope. What is that? Will asked. A confession. A real one. Not a legal document or a business arrangement. A letter to you, William, explaining everything. Why I forged the will. Why I pushed you away. Why I spent 30 years being terrified of my own son. Terrified? Of me? Patricia's eyes filled with tears. You were so much like your father. Good, kind, honest, everything I wasn't.
Every time I looked at you, I saw him, and I saw my own failures reflected back. It was easier to push you away than to face what I had become. Maya watched Will struggle with this. 30 years of rejection. 30 years of wondering why his mother couldn't love him. And now, finally, an explanation. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Patricia continued. I know I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to understand. Before I'm gone. I wanted you to know that it was never about you, William. It was always about me. My fear. My weakness. My inability to accept love without trying to control it. Will was silent for a long moment. Then he did something Maya didn't expect. He crossed the room and knelt beside his mother's chair. He took her thin hand in his. I forgive you, he said. Patricia broke. All the walls, all the armor, all the years of coldness, they crumbled. She sobbed like a child, clutching her son's hand like a lifeline. I'm sorry, she gasped. I'm so sorry. For all of it. For the wine. For the lies. For every horrible thing I ever said or did. I'm sorry. Maya watched from her chair, tears streaming down her own face. This wasn't the ending she had imagined. Not revenge, not justice. Just two broken people finally finding their way back to each other. Will looked at Maya over his shoulder. She understood without words. Maya stood and crossed the room. She knelt beside Will, facing the woman who had tried to destroy her for 3 years. Patricia. The older woman looked at her, eyes red, face ravaged. I forgive you too. Patricia stared at her. Why? After everything I did? Because hate is heavy, and I'm tired of carrying it. Patricia reached out with her free hand. Maya took it. 3 people. 3 years of war. And now, somehow, peace. There's something else, Patricia said, wiping her eyes. In the envelope. It's not just a confession. It's a gift. Will opened the envelope. Inside was a stack of legal documents.
What is this? The deed to this house, the shares I held in my personal portfolio, my jewelry collection, everything I have left. Patricia's voice was steady now. I'm leaving it to you, William, and to Maya, to your children when you have them. I want it to mean something. I want it to build something good. Mother, this is millions of dollars. 37 million to be exact. Patricia almost smiled. I was a very good thief. Maya didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Patricia, I know I can't buy forgiveness. I'm not trying to. I just want to know that when I'm gone, something good will come from my life. Something better than fraud and manipulation and broken relationships. Will looked at Maya. She nodded. We'll use it for the foundation, Will said. The one we've been planning. For underprivileged kids who want to go to business school. We'll call it the Charles Thornton Legacy Fund. Patricia's breath caught. You'd do that? Use my money to honor your father? He would have wanted it. You know he would have. Patricia closed her eyes. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she was smiling. Thank you, both of you, for being so much better than I ever was. They stayed for dinner. Maya hadn't planned on it. She had planned to deliver forgiveness like a business transaction and leave. But something had shifted. Something real. Patricia told stories. Real stories, not the polished society versions. She talked about meeting Charles at a Kentucky roadhouse when they were both 19. She talked about their first apartment, a studio in Queens with cockroaches and a radiator that only worked in summer. She talked about falling in love with a man who believed she could be more than coal country trash. He saw something in me that I couldn't see myself, Patricia said. And I spent 40 years trying to live up to it. Failing, overcompensating, becoming someone he wouldn't recognize.
He loved you until the end, Will said. The video he made, he talked about you, about the woman you used to be. I watched that video 100 times after Diane gave it to me. 100 times, William, trying to find the moment where I lost myself. Patricia shook her head. I never found it. It wasn't one moment. It was 1,000 small choices. 1,000 times I chose fear over love. Maya thought about her own choices, the secrets she had kept, the walls she had built. Were they so different from Patricia's? We all make those choices, Maya said. The difference is whether we keep making them. Patricia looked at her. Really looked. You're remarkable, you know. I spent 3 years trying to break you, and all I did was make you stronger. Charles was right about you. Charles never met me. No, but he predicted you. In his letters to William, the ones I found after he died, he wrote about the kind of woman he hoped his son would marry. Someone strong enough to fight the family's darkness. Someone who wouldn't be intimidated by money or power or the past. Patricia smiled faintly. He described you, Maya, to the letter. Maya didn't know what to say. Charles Thornton, a man she had never met, had somehow shaped her entire life. Can I see those letters? Maya asked. They're in the envelope, with everything else. Later that night, Maya and Will drove back to the city in silence. The letters sat in Maya's lap. 7 of them, written over the course of Charles's final year. Each one addressed to my future daughter. Each one filled with hopes and fears and prayers for a woman who might never exist. He knew, Will said finally. Somehow he knew you were coming. He hoped. There's a difference. Is there? He left the trail. He hid the will. He recorded the video. Everything he did was designed to lead someone exactly like you to the truth. Maya thought about Eleanor Hayes, the nurse who had guarded Charles's secrets for 5 years. She thought about the safety deposit box, the false name, the careful, meticulous planning of a dying man. He believed, Maya said, in love, in justice, in the idea that good people eventually find each other. Do you believe that? Maya looked at her husband, this man who had bought her cupcakes in the rain, who had loved her when he thought she had nothing, who had stood by her through war and revelation and rebuilding. I believe in you, she said. That's enough. 3 months later, they held the gala. Not at the Plaza, not at the Pierre. At a community center in the South Bronx, the same one Will had been quietly funding for years. The Charles Thornton Legacy Fund launched with $37 million in initial capital. Enough to send 500 kids to business school. Enough to change 500 lives. Maya stood at the podium, looking out at a crowd that looked nothing like the society galas she had infiltrated for years. These weren't billionaires and heiresses. These were teachers and social workers and single mothers and kids who had never seen a ballroom in their lives.
My mother died when I was 24, Maya began. She was a nurse. She worked 3 jobs to keep food on our table. She couldn't afford the treatments that might have saved her life. After she was gone, I made myself a promise. I would build something, not for money, not for power, for people like her. People who worked hard and played by the rules and still couldn't catch a break. The room was silent. Today, we launched the Charles Thornton Legacy Fund. This money comes from a complicated place. It comes from a family that made mistakes, a family that hurt people, a family that, for a long time, forgot what really matters. Maya looked at Patricia, who sat in a wheelchair near the front. She was thinner now, frailer, but she was here. Patricia Thornton is here tonight. Some of you know her story. Some of you know what she did. But what you might not know is that she's the one who made this fund possible. She took every dollar she had and put it towards something bigger than herself. She didn't have to do that. She chose to. Patricia's eyes were wet. Redemption isn't a moment. It's a choice you make every single day. Patricia is making that choice. I'm making that choice. And today, we're inviting you to make it with us. The applause started slowly and built into a wave. After the speeches, after the handshakes, after the endless photographs, Maya found herself alone on the rooftop. The city sparkled below, a grid of lights and dreams and broken promises. She had conquered this city. She had been humiliated by it, fought it, rebuilt herself in it, and now, finally, she was at peace with it. There you are. Will stepped onto the rooftop. He looked tired, but happy. Big night, Maya said. Huge night. You know how much we raised? Beyond the initial fund? How much? 14 million. In one night. From people who could barely afford to be here. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. They gave what they had. Because you inspired them. Because you showed them what's possible when someone refuses to give up. Will pulled her close. They stood together, looking out at the city that had tested them both. I have something for you, Will said. We agreed no gifts. This isn't a gift. It's a promise. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's heart stopped. Will? Open it. Inside was a ring. Not a diamond. A simple gold band with an inscription on the inside. Maya held it up to the light and read the words. From nothing, everything. Your grandmother told me something, Will said. When I called to ask her blessing, she said that you built your whole life from nothing, that everything you have, you earned. And she said, the only gift worthy of you was something that reflected that. Maya was crying now. It's perfect. It's not an engagement ring. We're already married. It's a commitment ring. A promise that no matter what comes next, no matter how big the empire grows, we remember where we came from. Both of us. Maya slipped the ring onto her finger. From nothing, she whispered. Everything, Will finished. They kissed on the rooftop of a community center in the South Bronx. Two people who had been shaped by families that didn't deserve them, forged by fire, and bound together by a love that refused to break. 6 months later, Patricia Thornton died peacefully in her sleep. Will held her hand at the end. Maya was there too, reading aloud from Charles's letters, the ones he had written to his future daughter. Patricia's last words were to Maya. Thank you, she whispered, for giving him back to me. She meant Will. She meant forgiveness. She meant the chance to die as something other than a villain. Maya held her hand until it went cold. At the funeral, Maya spoke. Patricia Thornton was not a saint. She made mistakes that hurt people. She let fear guide her choices for most of her life. But in the end, she found something that had eluded her for decades. She found peace. She found family. She found the courage to say the words that mattered most. I'm sorry. I love you. I forgive you. Maya looked out at the crowd. Society matrons, business titans, but also nurses and teachers and scholarship recipients from the fun Patricia had helped create. We don't get to choose how our story starts, but we get to choose how it ends. Patricia chose redemption. She chose love. And in doing so, she taught me something I'll carry for the rest of my life. It's never too late to become the person you were meant to be.
1 year after the wine incident, Maya and Will stood in the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel. Same room, same chandeliers, same judgmental society crowd. But everything else had changed. Maya wore crimson velvet, the exact shade of the wine Patricia had thrown in her face. She wore it like armor, like a trophy, like a reminder. Will stood beside her, holding a glass of champagne. To new beginnings, he said. To never forgetting where we came from. They drank. Across the room, Marcus Chen was networking with Tokyo investors. The legacy fund had grown to over $100 million. Thornton Maritime had posted record profits for 3 consecutive quarters. And Maya Washington, the baker from the south side of Chicago, had just been named to Forbes' list of the 50 most influential women in business. You know what I keep thinking about? Will said. What? That night, when my mother threw the wine. You didn't flinch. You didn't cry. You just stood there, dripping, and you smiled. I wasn't smiling. I was in shock. No, Will shook his head. You were calculating. I saw it in your eyes. You were already 3 moves ahead. You knew exactly how the rest of the night would play out. Maya thought about it. The truth was somewhere in between. She had been shocked. She had been humiliated. But she had also known, in that moment, that Patricia had just handed her the victory. I learned something from your mother, Maya said. What's that? Never underestimate the power of a woman with nothing left to lose. Will laughed. You had billions of dollars. But I had nothing to prove. Not anymore. That's when you're most dangerous. When you stop fighting for approval and start fighting for what's right. They watched the crowd swirl around them. The same people who had whispered gold digger a year ago now scrambled for Maya's attention. The same women who had laughed at her department store dress now complimented her designer gown. Maya didn't care about any of it. She had built an empire from nothing. She had fought a war and won. She had turned an enemy into an ally, and a tragedy into a legacy. And she had done it all without losing herself. Ready to go home? Will asked. Not yet. Maya set down her champagne glass. There's something I need to do first. She walked to the center of the ballroom, the same spot where she had stood, dripping in wine 1 year ago. The crowd parted around her. Maya raised her voice. 1 year ago, I stood in this exact spot. I was humiliated, attacked, covered in wine while 500 people watched. Some of you were there. Some of you laughed. Some of you whispered things you thought I couldn't hear. The room went silent. Tonight, I want to thank you. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Thank you for showing me who I really was. Not the baker you dismissed, not the gold digger you assumed, but a woman who could take the worst you had to offer and turn it into something beautiful. You didn't break me. You revealed me. Maya looked around the room.
at the people who had judged her, at the people who had underestimated her, at the people who were now desperate to be her friend. So here's my promise to you. I will never forget this night. I will never forget the wine. I will never forget the laughter. And I will spend the rest of my life proving that you can't keep a good woman down, no matter how expensive the wine. She picked up a glass of Chateau Margaux from a passing waiter. She raised it high. To the ones who underestimated me, may you learn from your mistake. She drank. The room erupted in applause. Maya walked back to Will, who was grinning like a man who had just won the lottery. "That was incredible," he said. "That was closure." Same thing sometimes. They walked out of the Plaza Hotel hand in hand. The same doors Maya had fled through a year ago, dripping and humiliated. This time, she walked through them as a conqueror. The night air was crisp and clean. Manhattan sparkled around them, indifferent and beautiful and full of possibility. "So," Will said, "what now?" Maya thought about everything they had built, everything they had survived, everything that still lay ahead. "Now," she said, "we live." And that is exactly what they did. The wine stain washed out, the wounds healed, the empire grew. But the lesson remained, etched in gold on a simple ring. From nothing, everything. Maya Washington had proven that the best revenge isn't screaming. It isn't fighting. It isn't even winning. The best revenge is becoming so powerful that the people who tried to destroy you have no choice but to watch you rise. And rise she did, all the way to the top.